Last week on the Nicoletti Show.
Let's welcome them to the show. Michelle, Andrew, love seeing you guys again.
I think the biggest lesson was when we realized holding rental property wasn't just for retirement.
We had a couple of rental houses and we had named one for each kid. And then we were like, oh, but wait, we could actually have more. Did I do what I was supposed to do yesterday in order to move forward today? That helps me stay on track and to know where I'm supposed to be.
I actually do that weekly. The idea of actually reviewing cases is moving the ball along.
One of the things that we do as a team to start our day every day is we have a good news and gratitude call.
What's the best guide to rehabbing houses?
The first thing you have to do is connect with your community, connect with the local community.
One of the things that we were able to learn quickly was walking the property with a licensed contractor and an inspector and really kind of understanding right at the beginning what you're dealing with.
You don't have to learn this game on your own. Real estate is one of those fascinating industries where if you ask the question, somebody's probably going to help you and answer your question, not only help you answer the question, but probably say, come on and check this out. I'll show you a real world example. I'm doing one down the street.
The most important thing you can do is truly leveraging the relationships and the community that you're in, because everybody's doing something different. What is it like working together as husband and wife?
No, it's great. It is really.
I love it. It's wonderful. It's great.
His strengths are my weaknesses, and I hope that mine are that I compliment him the same.
Although my weaknesses are technically strengths in sheep's clothing, you know. Hold off, wait, list it when it's ready.
If you want to learn the real lessons, go local.
When you connect with your local community, you figure out what's happening where you are, and you get a pulse on that market that you can't really do national or virtual.
I'll be seeing you soon.
We love you, Al.
Love you
Bye.
too. If you missed any of last week's episode, make sure you go back and watch it on the Al Nicoletti YouTube channel. You can find this Al Nicoletti Show on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Facebook, and of course, all the micro content constantly dropping on Instagram at Attorney Nicoletti. I mean, there's so much content from all the guests from season 1, season 2, season 3, and season 4. We're rolling. I mean, the show is just going on and on and on. I mean, the train is not stopping. And so if you missed any of these episodes with the amazing guests we have, and all these guests are from a broad spectrum. They're not just all in land. They're not just all in commercial, but I'm talking about all over. If you missed any of it, go back, check it out. You don't want to miss these episodes. And tonight is going to be another amazing episode with another unique individual, a unique person when it comes to the real estate world, talking about app development, right? Apps. It's something that we don't talk about, like software. I don't think we've ever really had somebody talk about software except CRMs and maybe some of the data sifting mechanisms that we run into in our business. But we're going to get into this tonight. So I know you all are out there. Make sure you take notes. I got my book. I'm ready to take tons of notes. You know, I always want to take notes because I have my follow-up questions. I know you have questions. If you have questions, drop a comment. We'll make sure during the episode, AJ will reply back. He'll be watching it with us. And, you know, it's all about engagement. And we love when the fans are dropping comments and questions. That's what this is all about, the guest and you all out there. So I'm ready to rock another Wednesday night on the Al Nicoletti Show. Let's rock this thing. Hey everybody, my name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate and bring in the best in the business on the show. Whether we're talking about real estate adjacent, productivity, mindset, you name it. I mean, think about how many people we've had on the show, a wide variety, whether it's land, Airbnbs, commercial, marketing, branding, CRMs. We bring on the best in the industry all over the country and even eventually in the world to come on the show to give you the best knowledge, the best education on how you can take your company to the next level. I can't wait to get into this episode today because we haven't had anybody come on to talk about this. We haven't had anyone come on to talk about app development. And it's, I mean, you go on your iPhone, you go on your Android. I mean, everybody's got an app. But how do you leverage it? How do you leverage it for your business, for your real estate business? I'm intrigued. We're going to dive in with AJ, and we'll introduce him in a second. But here's some opening thoughts from Al Nicoletti. Opening thoughts of the evening. Learn something new, right? We're going to dive into this topic of app development today, and that's something I don't even know about. Open your mind. It's good to stay open-minded to new ideas and new thoughts that may change your business. There may be something that AJ talks about tonight that you've never knew before about an app and how it can help leverage your business. Maybe it's not the apps. Maybe it's some software that you just heard at a convention or a conference or a RIA. And maybe that's something that you can leverage it for your business. Being open-minded to our new world of technology is so important because if you want to scale your business, you have to be able to take on and want to learn or partner with people, collaborate with people that understand these things. You don't have to know it yourself, but you work with these people. So just stay open-minded to learning these new concepts, new things in our software world, especially as we dive into artificial intelligence, the AI world, and everything going on with ChatGPT or all that kind of stuff. So I can't wait for AJ Aluthwala to come on the show. AJ and I met in Family Mastermind. It's crazy. When we go to these conventions, I think I've talked about this before. We go to these conventions and you meet like 200-300 people. And there's no way you can meet all these people at once. And I remember the first time I saw AJ, it was at the March 2022 Family Mastermind. We didn't get to connect, but I remember seeing him there. And I remember this is the app guy. This is like the software app guy. And I thought, okay, one day I'm going to meet AJ. And then Matt Andrews throws on a power day in Jacksonville. And I didn't know AJ was going to show up. It was the first one he ever had. And I saw AJ there, and AJ comes up to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, we finally get to connect. And I thought, man, this is great because he's in a completely different world I have no idea about, and I want to learn what he does, and I want to be able to share what he knows and bring him on the show to talk about this stuff. So AJ is a wealth of knowledge. Great guy, knows his stuff in the business and app development world, and world traveler too. I'm sure we'll get into that. I mean, he's all over the place. He if you ever check out his Instagram, he was doing reels in Greece in I don't know if it was Minokos or Crete, whatever. It was beautiful. It was like the white buildings. So he gets out in the world. So I'm excited to bring him on so we can talk all about innovative ideas, how to start an app, best practices, the pitfalls, all that stuff. So without further ado, let's welcome AJ Aluthwala to the show. AJ, let's do this.
Hey, Al. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. This is great. I'm so happy we get to have you on the Al Nicoletti Show. It's always great seeing you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure seeing you at different industry events out there. We bump into each other. Sometimes we just, wave at each other and we never get to actually speak. But I'm glad that we connected briefly at the very end of the last Family Mastermind. And we just, had a quick chat and then decided to do this show. So thank you again for having me.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it happened. It's amazing. Like you go for 3 days, you're thinking, I got to see everybody. And then you see that one person right at the end, and it's like, you guys link up. We linked up right at the end before everybody took off. So AJ, we could dive into so much about how everything in your bio, how you got started, where it started for you. But the one thing we really want to know is when you got into this game in real estate, because you're in the app development world and you see how the apps really apply to the real estate world. What was like the biggest lesson you learned applying the two industries together?
Yeah, that's a great question, Al, because I'm sure there are a lot of folks who listening to the show who are thinking about getting into real estate, right? They might be veterans, and there's a lot of folks who are interested in learning more about the nitty-gritty, what are the pitfalls, what are the lessons learned, that type of thing. And for me, the biggest lesson learned, I would say, is trying to be an active real estate investor.
Really?
It is, yeah. Just because, I have a day job, right? App development is my day job. So when I try to do it actively, it takes a whole lot from my day job. I know that we are obviously encouraging everyone to get into real estate. I'm like the oxymoron here, but I'm just saying that you want to do it in a educated and a thought through method, especially if you are in another field but you are really interested in learning more and getting into real estate. Find deals which are in, say, syndication, or find deals with apartment complexes, right? Because the moment, for a person off the street, the moment you talk about real estate investing, the one thing that goes to their mind is, oh, Airbnb investing, right? Just,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna grab a couple of Airbnbs and try to run my thing. I'll have all these software, and I'll have a property management company and have it run. But uh, someone who has been there, done it, would say that's not the way it works. It really takes work. uh, Obviously, finding the property, and then making sure the property is staged, furniture is in, and working with the city, working with whatever else which is going on in the background to get that Airbnb on my Airbnb. And then doing the marketing, getting it fulfilled. It's a big job, right?
Yeah.
So if you really want to scale your real estate game, and you have a day job like me, I would say the best course of action for you is being an passive real estate investor. And there are a lot of ways of doing it, even without actually owning a piece of real estate, right? You can even be a debt lender. You can put your cash out your 401k, not cashing out, but you move your 401k into a self-directed IRA, something like that.
Yeah.
I know that I shouldn't be giving any legal advice, but right, but I'm
No,
just saying,
we'll do the disclaimer, right?
yeah,
None
we'll do
of
the
this is
disclaimer,
for,
right?
yeah, nobody's giving legal advice, and it's all
Legal advice.
educational informational.
Yeah, but if you move that into a trust account, right, and then you can basically use that trust account to do all your investing, and do it the smart way. So there, but then you obviously don't get some of the upsides of being a active real estate investors. But there are so many other opportunities, like investing in apartment complexes, just syndication deals, things like that. So rather than focusing on, I'm going to get this one or two dose, right, like the way we say it in the real estate world, rather than just thinking about, I'm going to get one property, two property, and then build up like that. Think that if you invest in an apartment complex, you become a fractional investor in an apartment complex. You can be an owner fractionally of 100, 200 doors,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And have
Yeah.
all the upside of the appreciation and the depreciation, right?
Yeah.
And all you did was just give money. But
Yeah.
now, to do that, you need to have good relationships with the people whom you invest with, right? If you don't find the right relationships, or if you don't have the right relationships, you will invest in something which will go bad, and then you lose all your money, and then don't blame me for that. But having those relationships, vetting people out, that's a whole different ball game. So more than just learning about real estate, maybe you then need to figure out, okay, how would you vet people, right?
Right.
And the way I've done it is always my network. So a lot of network, if you do a lot of networking, then you can easily vet people out and see what your active real estate investors are investing in,
Right.
money wise, and then you go in on those deals too.
Yeah. I love it, because it's a different perspective to investing, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about all the people that are talking about land or Airbnbs, like you said, or wholesaling.
Yeah.
Your avenue is like, the other side of it is like, I got my business running, I just want more passive income on the side. I don't want to be like calling sellers and, you know, doing direct mail. I just want to park my money somewhere and let it work itself. And like you're talking about with self-directed IRA, so many people love that kind of stuff, right? They
Yeah.
love self-directed IRAs because you're tapping into money that's just sitting there and saying, hey, I'm gonna I mean, you know, I don't get into all the tax stuff, but you know, a lot of people like it because they could do notes, or they could do different kinds of investing. We had people on from New View Trust that talked about self-directed IRAs. Nate Hare went all into that. If you missed that, check that out. But you know, another thing that you mentioned, syndications, partnering with people in one, maybe a apartment complex. Maybe everybody wants to buy a 600 unit multifamily apartment complex, and it's partnering, you know, everybody's pooling in their money. But like you said, you want to make sure you're doing it with the right people, the right relationships. You're not pooling it with people that you don't know. Like you're out there. That's why you are always out there. You're always doing meeting people, because I mean, the world that you and I are in, I mean, so many of these people are not just doing wholesaling, they're doing like crazy stuff. So relationships are everything.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, you know, I'm where I am today because of the networking I've done, right? It's comes natural to some folks. It comes not natural to others, right? Some people just hate getting out there. But if you want to have this right kind of relationships, to find these deals, to understand how certain deals are structured, you just have to force yourself. Even if you don't like it, you just have to force yourself to be out there and meet people. And also, you probably don't want to do a deal with someone whom you just met, right? Maybe they'll have the sweetest talk about all the successes they've had, but typically, at least for me, it takes good 6 to 8 months to win someone's trust. And the more I see them, I start following them on social media. I start hearing about the deals they get into from others who are my peers in the masterminds or conferences that I go to. So then you can vet people out that way too, right? Within so normally you don't strike a deal with someone the day you met them, right? So you just take your time, right? So
unless it's that good, right?
yeah, unless it's that good.
Yeah. I love it. This is great info for people out there, especially getting into the game or wanting to know more about maybe different levels to real estate or getting your business up and running.
Right.
AJ, another thing that I ask, which is, it's just so important, because we could talk about real estate and business and setting up things and cash flow all day, but all of that takes energy, mental acuity, and high performance every single day in our business to make sure that we are always running, we're charged up, we're going, the train keeps on going. What is something that you do every day or every week, maybe every month, to make sure you are always at a high level of performance always?
I'm a creature of habit. So you can call it boring, but the boringness brings you great habits, right? So I wake up at a certain time of the day, and then I have a whole routine from working out to getting my mind cleared, get some energy going, and then getting into the work day. I spend time with my kids, play with them, play basketball with my son in the evenings. If I'm home, I do it without missing it. So the being a creature of habit, I think that's the biggest thing which you can plug into your life, where you can get a great advantage over the others. And another thing I would say is this kind of goes back into the being a creature of habit too. You want to have a habit of relaxing as well, right?
Right.
You burn the wheels if you work too much. So Friday nights, Saturday nights, I try to relax. When I say relax, it's not about going out and partying and staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning. That's not what I do. But get together with a couple of friends, enjoy some great conversations. Just maybe talk something out of business, not business, but maybe business. I don't know. Just like just spending some time with your family, just relaxing a little bit. So comes Monday, you come with a fresh mind, because we all think about, going on a vacation to free up our mind and to recharge. This is like the conventional wisdom, right? But if you can do it even at a micro level on a daily, or even like a daily basis, or even the weekly basis, right? Weekly basis, you do a just a relax and recharge. That's going to really help you to do even better or perform at a better and higher scale the following week.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, right? Like there's so many times I'm thinking like, I'm traveling here, I'm going here, I'm flying to this place, I'm going driving down this way. And after a while, like you start realizing you're like, wait a second, gotta put like a little break on it, right? Pause. And I remember in March, there was like a few weeks, there's nothing. And it's actually good to have that nothing. A lot of people are like, they get antsy or paranoid or anxious, but it's like, it's good to have the nothing because that's the relaxation, that rest period, right?
Right.
And so like I see it that way when it comes to all the travel and craziness. But even like you're saying, it's like utilize the days off, right? The Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday, or even the holidays. That's been the most surprising. Is like, you ever notice with the holidays, like whether it's Memorial Day or Labor Day, like nobody's working those days. So just do nothing, right? Take the time off and recharge. I love it. I think it's
cool. and I got to add to that. So the way we work, we don't work in our just 8-hour days. Our work day is literally like 20, not 24. I mean, at least like 8 long hours. What I'm trying to say is it's just long hours, just because we have teams overseas, right on the other side of the world. So when our day ends, their day starts. Right. Mm-hmm. So we cannot just, end our day, because we got to have everything queued up for their day, and their day doesn't really end at 5 o'clock. They end like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, just because they got to, have meetings with us early in our morning in order for us to be productive. Right. So we work really long hours, and our day with my project managers, we actually start on Sunday afternoon, believe it or not, which is I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just the way it works in the world we operate in. Sunday afternoon, we got to get started, because if you don't plan for it, we are going to lose an entire day of our overseas staff, because we haven't really had a chat with them or got things queued up.
Yeah, I love it. We need like a whole episode with AJ just on procedures and relaxation and how to run a business. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the apps, so this is fantastic. I love it. AJ, let's dive in, because this is a fascinating one for everybody listening, watching. We haven't had anybody come on to talk about apps. I've had people talk about software, CRM, stuff like that, but not app development. Let's talk about it from scratch. Creating your first app. Where do we even begin?
Right. So I'm sure, we all had that idea of, oh, I wish I had an app for it, right? It might be when you are on vacation, when you're traveling, or you were just, hanging out with your kids. They asked you a question. Someone asked you a question about a certain thing, and then you try to look it up and it's not there. And then you thought that, I wish there was an app for it. That's where it starts. Right? In simple terms, that's exactly where it starts. So then your next question is, okay, I want to create an app for this need I have. Where do I begin? Where would I begin? Can I do it myself? And the answer is yes, you can do it yourself. If you just go to Google and search app development tools or no code app development tools, you'll find a bunch out there. But what happens is, when you find a tool, you start working with that tool, you realize that where you can get with that particular tool is a little limited. And the best way for me to explain it is, if you want to create a website, you can obviously go to Wix.com or Squarespace. If you are using GoDaddy Builder, start working on your website, right? But would it turn out to be exactly what you have in your mind? Probably not, because it's templated. Everything looks a little boxy, and the experience is, to say the least, subpar, right? It's not what you want. So with the tools that are out there, to create an app. That's a kind of a similar experience you may end up with. I'm not saying that you cannot do it, but you can. But if you have an idea for a complex app, then you are better off hiring hiring an app developer. But if you have an idea which is this app should just do this XYZ and that's it, then you're okay with just going online and finding a tool and using it to create your app.
Yeah. And I love what we were talking about before too, about the idea of an app. Like, from the beginning, creating the app, like where does it even come from? Like one is, oh, I think of an idea, is there an app for that? But two also is like finding a need. Like there's a need that you feel like there's a need, and creating an app for that need, that the innovation behind it, the idea. Let's dive in on that, like that concept, because if someone's finding that there's a need for themselves, there's going to be a need for others for that app.
Right. And what I would say is, when you have an idea for an app, don't delay it, act on it. Because before you know it, someone else will have that same bright idea, and there will be an app out there in 6 to 8 months if you don't act on that idea of a great app. So when you have an idea, you want to first do some due diligence as to the viability of this idea, right? You want to do a thorough search on app stores to see whether there is an app which meets the criteria, or to see whether it really is something that you want to pursue, right? Whether you want to see whether there's another app which is like that, which is not, there might be another app, and there might be thousands of apps, which are like that, but it might be this particular app that you are thinking about doesn't exactly do the things the way these other apps are doing it, right?
Right.
So if you have an idea for an app and there is nothing that exists like that, there is a good chance that there are others who are thinking about the same thing, who have the need for that same app and can find something that they like, right? So then as you're thinking about it, you want to think, is this something someone will actually pay money for, right?
Right.
Would they pay $5, $4.99 a month, or $60 for a year to have access to this app? Or is there a play where I can just give it out completely free, but we can monetize the analytics within the app, the data that we will collect from the app? Is there a play in monetization? Or maybe there are transactions that happens within the app where there is some play in monetization. And if you want to just create an app for fun, you can definitely do that too, right?
Right.
But then you have to bear all the costs of running an app, right? Whether it's storage or just data transfer fees, all of that stuff.
Right.
But when you have an idea, you want to talk to your friends. Just talk to your friends, ask them, hey, I have an idea about an app, because a lot of people are worried about, I need to trademark my idea, right? I just want to trademark my idea because I don't want anyone running with it. Just get some trustworthy friends. Just talk to them first, get their feedback on the app, talk to your friends and family, get their feedback, and once you have their feedback, then you can see whether it's an idea that you want to further pursue or not, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah, like market research, right? Just doing upfront market research, just talking to people, saying, "Hey, is this something you would need?" Especially if it's in real estate, you could go to the meetings and you're saying, "Hey, is this something you find that people would use?" And you can tell right away by people's responses. They're like, "Yeah, no, Is this part of the discovery phase, or is this really just part of the idea phase right now?
Oh, this is just the idea phase. So what we do is, when someone comes to us with an idea for an app, we want to flesh that out, right? So someone will come to us and say that I want this app created, right? And they just kind of gives us the gist of their initial thoughts, just throw it out there, and we'll have like a half an hour call with them, understand what they need. So once we have that idea documented, we start what we call a discovery project. And this discovery project is where we write down the idea, and then we break it into user stories. And user stories meaning, how would someone from the general public will go through the app, experience the app, right? How would someone from their team experience the app? How would the admins of the app experience the app, right? So user stories, we write it out. Then we make sure we present that the requirement specification document where the scope is written out to our prospect or our client, and ask them, is this what you think is your idea, the way we've written it, the way we've understood it? And then they'll say yeah or nay, or they will say, yes, you guys got it, but here are some tweaks that we need to make. And then there's a wish list of items as well. So we'll say, okay, we'll take look at all these edits and review comments, and then also we'll look at some of the wish list items as well. Wish list meaning cool to have features which are not needed right now, right? Maybe they are needed, but they are just like nice to have features, right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is, when we create an app, we want to create version 1, or what we call the minimum viable product, the MVP product, right? So once you have that out, then you can start working on your version 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. But if you just jump right into version 3, then you have this monstrous project that you need to spend months and months and maybe even years, and you're in development forever, right? You don't want to do that. You want to have a product, you get it out there, and then you can keep on building on it, right?
Yeah.
So the discovery is, you get a requirement specification written out, then you work on the technical task list. That's something like us can help with. Technical task list of all the technical tasks that we have to do to create the app. Then we come up with a price proposal for the actual app development project. So the discovery is like a project before the project.
Yeah, it's funny because like I'm thinking, when you're going through that discovery, you guys have already built out the app. So the feature in the head, right? Like you guys see it, but the person that created the idea or has the idea for the app hasn't like seen it, because like I'm thinking, oh, I already want to see what this looks like in a phone, Android, iPhone version, right? But what it is you've mapped it out on documents saying, hey, these are the features, this is what you're looking for. How important is it to keep it really basic early on? Because like you said, all these extra bells and whistles really aren't needed or may not be needed right away. How important is it to just get to the point, keep it basic, and then you can always implement more things later?
I would say it's the other way around. You wanna throw everything in your mind on paper, right? But then you select, these are the points that you want to actually implement, right? So that, and the reason being, then the app developer will see your grand vision for your product. So let me make this relatable, right? If you want to create a 200 unit apartment complex, and you go to a developer and say, just create 20 units, right? And we'll figure out the rest later. Does it work like that? It doesn't work like that, right? Think about the architectural aspects, the energy audits, the plumbing, the electrical, you name it, right? Permits, everything, ground clearing, environmental stuff, right? You want to make sure that you get approved for 200 units, and then maybe you only will build that first 20. So the developer also will put the right amount of footers or right kind of footers to accommodate a 200 unit apartment building, right? Maybe it's 3-story, right? So you can't just put a footer which will only hold 1-story building, right? So Those are kind of things that you want to keep in mind. So you put all your thoughts and ideas on paper, but you tell your app developer, I don't need all of this built out. I need an app which I can take to market within 4 to 5 months or 6 months. I want it to just have these items, and let's take all of what we have here and put it into a wish list. And once we have one out, then we'll decide what is actually important from this list of things which we now think is important, because things might change later on.
Yeah, and what I love that you're doing is really taking the step-by-step approach from idea to discovery, and then we're heading to the implementation part. But really, it's getting down to the basics, because everybody thinks of, I want an app, and they're just like, they want it already, right? But like,
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah.
it. You know, I'll
Yeah.
pay whatever to get it. But like, it doesn't work like that. Just like websites, like, I want a website. Well, what goes on the website? What happens, right?
Right.
So walking us through this is so important. And like you said, with the discovery phase, it's like the mini project before the project.
Right.
And how important is that?
It is the most important part of your app, because as you said, Al, a lot of people just jump right into production of the app, and we used to do it like that. We used to, being a novice developer back in the day, that was our approach, and we'll be like, okay, we'll start building it, we'll just coding ourselves out. But what happens is, then later on, you're going to have a conversation with the app developer. Oh, why is this particular feature or function not there? And your app developer is going to say, you never told me that you need it. And then your response will be like, if you have even an ounce of common sense, you would think that you need that feature in there. But that's not the way the app developer sees it, because they have a technical mind. They sees it in a different way. And I'm talking about the nitty-gritty, right? So it's always in the nitty-gritty. We like certain apps we use because of the details, right? It's not because there's this one big app which does this thing which is clunky, not easy to use. We love the apps where the user experience is at premium. Maybe just this one little thing, but the user experience is like amazing, right? It's like walking into a boutique hotel, right? Versus I don't want to mention names. Versus one of your not so great hotels, right? Right?
The classic ones.
Classic ones, right? So when you have that boutique experience, you are going to keep on coming back to it, right? If you have that horrible experience, you're going to run away immediately and tell everyone also to stay away from that hotel, because it has big bed bugs in it, right? So that's kind of what it takes when it comes to creating a great app. You want to make sure that you spend a whole lot of time on that discovery project. It's a mini project. It'll probably cost you, I don't know, 1/30th of the price it'll cost you to build an app. But it's the most important piece, because when you do that, you will have a great idea about what your app is going to look like. And it's not a discovery for us; it's actually a discovery for you.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, right? They're thinking it's for you all, but it's really to help the user, the creator, think through their next steps and where they want it to go. And and like you're saying, it's like all of this is just laying the foundation early on for the app experience, or the app, to take it on and just grow that app on the back end. Let's talk about, we got idea, we got discovery, now implementation. What's that phase look like when it comes to app development?
So what we do is, we are going to actually tap into what you mentioned earlier first, which is creating the user experience, or the UIs, or the prototyping. We are going to work on the screens first. We are not going to work on the back end or the actual coding, but we are going to basically map out the user experience. And we take two-step approach to that. The first step is almost like a pencil sketch of the home screen. Here is, here's your login, like where you will put your username and your password, forgot password button, hit next, and it takes you to the next screen. All these are like pencil sketches. So we use rapid prototyping tools to create these pencil sketches, like the workflow, right, or the user experience of the app. And then when our clients say that yes, that's exactly what I need, then only we will actually create the screens using color. There'll be colors. The buttons will look slick. We'll do all of that once we have the approval, the green light on the prototype, right? The prototype of the screens, and then we'll create that the user experience in terms of screens. And these screens can be created with tools like Figma or Adobe XD, and you can click through it, and then we'll do a call with our client to show them this is how the user experience will look like. We can put in some dummy data and show them the look and feel of the app, and we can even send them a link so they can kind of review it internally, click it and check it out for themselves, and just look at it for a couple of days and give us some feedback. And we'll obviously take that feedback and then make the revisions, and then we will basically freeze the look and feel part, and then we will start working on the engine, right? So I'm going to use another example here. So what happens if you take a Corolla body, put on a Ferrari? Does it make it a Ferrari?
No.
No, right? It does not make it a Ferrari, right?
It may drive like a Ferrari.
Really, it can drive like a Ferrari, but it's not gonna look good, right? No one's gonna. People are gonna think that there's something wrong with the Corolla because it's so loud. Right?
What is that thing?
Yeah, and now what about the other way around? If you take a Corolla engine, you put it in a Ferrari, will that make a Ferrari?
Still not a Ferrari.
No, hell no, right? So you want to make sure that, I'm not saying that you want to always build a Ferrari or you want to always build a Corolla. Make sure that the skin of whatever you're doing matches the engine, right? You want to make sure the skin matches the engine and vice versa. You want to create a beautiful skin, but if you click a button, if it is not going anywhere, then there's no use, right?
Right.
Or if the user experience is so bad, people don't want to even touch it, but it does everything you need, but the user experience is clunky. That's the Corolla outside, Ferrari inside experience. You don't want that either, right? Yeah. So nothing against any of the, both of the cars, but I'm just using those as an example.
Yeah, I like these analogies because I wrote down like the importance of color and brand, and then you said user experience. So like, it's great to have your idea. It's great to have the bulk of the feature and what you're trying to achieve and help people with by having the app. But there's also, like you said, that's only part one. Part two is the marketing side, right? Yeah. Which is you want to make sure that it's an easy user experience and people, it's appealing. Right. Yeah. It's got the slick look. It's got the color. It's got, there's a purpose and brand image with it so that you understand what it is. You don't just be like, what is this app? Like, you want to be able to relate to the app. Right. So I like that you're talking about user experience. People want to have that kind of user experience. That's why people love the Macs too, because of the user experience. I mean, that's what they focused on for years and they still focus on it. But so we got that part. It's really, really different. What about when it comes to like launching it? So now you've implemented it, you've built out the colors, the schemes, you've got the engine on both sides now. It's a real Ferrari. And how are you now launching this app?
Yeah, so when it comes to launching, you first have to obviously house it in house it somewhere. So we house it in AWS, and then when you're launching it to iTunes and Google Play Store, you package it, and then there are certain guidelines that you have to adhere to. You got to have certain logos which will look okay on iPhones, Androids, whatnot, different versions of iPhones and tablets. You got to basically submit all of that to Apple and to Android, and then you basically publish your app. Now when you publish the app to I'll talk about Android, I'm sorry, Apple, because it's the most difficult app store to work with. But when you publish it, what happens is they accept it, and they just keep give you confirmation emails. So they accept it, and then it goes into review, right? It gets queued for review, and then in review, and then it can get approved or it can get rejected. Today we are in the process of launching an app, just today, and then we actually got that app kicked back because we haven't provided enough screenshots.
Really?
Right, like little things. It might not even anything to do with the functionality of the app, but little things like that too. They that's how it works. So they'll just kick it back, saying that okay, you gotta provide enough screenshots. So we'll take, we obviously took more screenshots, and then resubmit it, and it's right now it's in review. So it's a process, it takes time, and there is a chance that your app will never get approved. And I know people whose app never got approved because maybe it had sensitive information that it was pulling, it was sharing sensitive information, personal information. It can be a whole gamut of reasons. Any apps to do with tobacco, alcohol, obviously very hard to get approved. Oh, and even like cryptocurrency stuff, extremely hard to get approved. So there's a lot of scrutiny behind that app approval process. So it can take sometimes just a week, all the way to months in getting it approved. Now the other kind of the fun fact there is, let's say you got the app version 1 approved, and then you went and built a bunch of features on version 2, submitted, it doesn't get approved, and the whole thing gets kicked out. So you don't have an app anymore, right?
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, that is crazy, right? So you just want to make sure that you work with an app developer who kind of like expects these kind of things, and then also have experience dealing with these kind of issues, and knows what's the next course of action to take, and doesn't give up easily. Because if your developer gives up easily, then you will be without an app very soon, even if you already had one in the app stores, and then you just submitted a new build.
That kind of reminds me of IPs, right? Intellectual property stuff. We're trying to get patents, right?
Yeah.
Some of them, it has to be unique, and it has to fit that right criteria. Otherwise, they kick it back or they don't approve it. So it sounds like the same thing with apps. Like it's got to fit that right area for it to be launched out there. Like, I think you mentioned crypto, but there's like I think only one crypto app I've seen, but I'm sure there's people that have other crypto apps. But even those are probably convenient for that world, right? A lot of people need the crypto apps for building their cryptocurrency or whatever they're doing. So yeah, fascinating stuff when it comes to launching, right? Once you get it out there, once it gets approved, sounds like you're off and running. What's the maintenance though like behind it? It's like you have the Ferrari, you just bought it, it's great, it's off the lot. But now you run it 10,000 miles, and all of a sudden it needs the oil change or whatever it is. What's the maintenance part like?
Yeah, it's the maintenance is actually not bad. Like in a Ferrari's case, it's really not bad. Once your app is approved and out there, you're not spending a whole lot of time in maintaining it. Sometimes the app stores improve upon their own guidelines and their policy, and at the time then you have to do certain things to the app. And I remember a couple of years ago, they kicked out like ridiculous amount of apps, like almost like 40,000 apps out, just because they updated their policy, and those apps did not meet their criteria. So then obviously you have to get it all fixed up and then resubmit it, go through that approval process, that type of thing. So the maintenance, I would say, just plan for at least 10 hours a month of your time in just maintaining it. You're making sure that the app doesn't crash, it doesn't slow down, and because as people start using the app, there's obviously going to be a lot of data that is being now transferred back and forth between the app and the app store. So just the data management piece, but you can always start with just 10 hours, and then if you need more, you can dial it up, or if you need to cut down, you just dial it down. So I would say that just plan for 10 hours of time a month to maintain it. But once you have your app out, the main thing which you'll focus on is, okay, now I got version 1 out. What about version 2? What about version 3? Right? And then you want to probably do a little bit of focus studying with do a focus study group and analyze them to see what do they think about this new app, right? So maybe you already had your beta users test it and you got some feedback, and it came from your friends and family. Now, once it's out there in the app store, you have real users. So get those real users, get a small group together. Maybe it's again, people but get their feedback as to what can I do to make this app better. Take that and then compare those requests with your wish list, which you compile, and see what matches, and then go with those features. Because typically what you put down on your wish list as important features to have in the app, typically only like 20% of that wish list goes into version 2, or has actual importance of how someone will experience the app.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Create focus groups and have people just constantly give you feedback, which is great. I mean, because there's going to be version 1, version 3, version 5. So like, as you keep going, you want to keep improving the user experience, and people will tell you, hey, this is going on. You want to take notes so you can, go back to version 6, and now you have a new thing going on. So that's maintenance. I could see also being just you can't just create it. You can't just have this idea. You got to keep maintaining it. And that's pretty crazy that like iTunes would change their policy all of a sudden, and then gets rid of all these other apps. I wonder if they even gave like notice to those people to say, hey, just so you know, like if you don't change it, we're gonna wipe you out. But that's crazy.
It is crazy. They typically, they obviously, that's why platforms like blockchain and all of that came out, because iTunes is a monopoly, right? We want to decentralize that, right? Why do we have to submit it to iTunes and get their approval, right? Why can't I just put it somewhere else and my users can just start using it,
right?
Why do you have to abide by their rules and regulations, right? So that's out there where there will be someone who will come out as a contender for the app world, who will basically revolutionize how the apps are being used and how apps are published.
Yeah, you foresee that coming, don't you?
I foresee that coming because we only have like 2 app stores right now, but they hold that monopoly, and it's not a good thing, right? In some just 2 giants holding that monopoly, there will be a situation where that monopoly will be almost not abolished, but will be contended.
Hey, maybe this is the hot topic, right?
Yeah.
Right? That eventually this will happen, because this is what's going on in the market. It's crazy.
Yeah.
AJ, before we get into another topic of white label products, because I know we got to definitely talk about that one.
Yeah.
How important is communication in all of this, from the step-by-step, from idea to implementation to launching and beyond to maintenance? Communication, I'm sure, is everything, but what is that communication process like?
I think that communication is extremely important, and I think I should share maybe a couple of stories about how when you don't communicate, like the kind of the hot water you can land in. So we recently had someone who came to us this company in Midwest, they have spent $2.5 million working on a piece of software. They've spent probably 2 years with the development group, and they don't even have a requirement specification, which kind of blew my mind. How come you don't have a requirement specification? You don't have a scope doc. So this company who came to us, they wanted us to review their software. To review the software, we need to have some kind of a foundational document we can go off by to review what has already been created. But we don't have that document. So now we are tasked with creating that document, looking at what's already out there. It's doing it backwards, right? And then another such incident which kind of came to my desk was someone has hired a team of Romanian developers, and these guys have created a piece of software with their initial requirements. And I don't know, how they found the Romanian developers now, but they are now MIA, missing in action, gone forever.
Wow.
They have their piece of code, but they have nothing to do with. I mean, they really don't know what to do with it, and no one else will pick it up because it's like spaghetti code. So they were trying to sell that piece of code to us, and we were obviously not interested. But you don't want to put yourself in that kind of hot water because you haven't properly communicated with your developer, or you did not have a great kind of a pole in the ground here in the United States.
Yeah.
Right. So communication is so important, right? And communicate everything that you need in your app up front. We like to over communicate. We use a project management tool called ClickUp, where every project gets put into ClickUp, so people get to see from start to finish where the project is going to basically evolve and happen and launched and maintained. Even that discovery project that has a ClickUp little project plan too. And then our guests or our clients get guest access to ClickUp. So even at 1:00 on Saturday morning, they need to access the ClickUp. They can go in there with their guest access. They can see where their project is, and we assign a project manager to each project. And those project managers every Monday communicate with our clients in writing. This is what we worked on last week. This is what we are going to work on next week. These are the things that are on schedule. These are things that are delayed.
Right.
The delay is because of these reasons.
Right.
So we get all of that out there.
Interesting. Yeah. The communication part. I mean, you want to be so proactive with your clients, with your partners, and the people that are, the users, the app, everybody involved. You have to be communicative, because that is how the business is going to thrive. And eventually maybe they'll have another app, or maybe there's going to be more business. So having that kind of communication is just crucial in business. I couldn't say it any better, right? You nailed it right there. Yeah. AJ, this is fascinating stuff. Apps. I mean, obviously we all see apps on our phone, iPhone, Android. It's just going through all of it, sounds just like a crazy different process, a different world, but you the way you break it down so easy makes it simple, makes it possible. And that's what's great. Hot topics, hot trends, things that are going on right now. What is something that you're seeing maybe in the last week or last day, or things that are bubbling and people are chatting about that's just a hot topic in the software industry or app industry?
There are so many, but I think the one I can talk about is obviously everyone has heard about OpenAI, ChatGPT. So you can use ChatGPT to create code very quickly. Our team is using it, but it is not the end all be all for all your coding needs. So just kind of, something to keep in mind. But we can, and anyone can, obviously, get pieces of code created for certain things that they want to do, especially folks who are in the coding industry. This is helpful for us because you know what you had to write line by line back in the day, now you can use ChatGPT to create it for you. So that's one of those little nuggets which are out there, where you can bring in a lot of efficiency using this AI platform.
It's crazy, right? Like we were talking about it, like what's the hot topic, and we're like, wait, is it going to be Chat GPT, or is that what it is? But a lot of people are talking about it. Everybody's doing prompts, right? They're like putting in prompts, and then they're getting the full responses. So like, just leveraging our AI world right now is just crazy, and a lot of people see it as it's going to change the whole industry. It's going to change everything. So only the beginning, right? This is only the beginning with all of this stuff. But like I told everybody in the beginning of the monologue, which is be open-minded to it, right? Maybe there's a way that you can use these things to start leveraging your business and elevating your business to another level. So it's crazy. Can't wait to see where that goes. AJ, this has been a ton of fun. I wish we could do this for another 2-3 hours. This has been great because like I love to see like a presentation. I hope Matt does a presentation, or you're able to do something on the family Zooms one day where you actually show people kind of that process, because I'd love to see kind of like the paperwork, especially like when you after the idea, the discovery, and mapping everything out, because that's cool.
I definitely want to do it, and I'll get with Matt and kind of show everyone behind the scenes of maybe just show some examples of that the discovery call that we've done. And for anyone who's listening in who has an idea for an app, obviously feel free to reach out to me. But more than anything, whether you reach out to me or whether you reach out to any other developer, find someone whom you can have a strong relationship on the United States side, rather than just finding developers from Upwork and places like that, because I don't want any of you to end in hot water, right? Find someone whom you can sue if things go wrong, right? So I'm bold in making the statement. I'm not attracting it, or I'm not expecting it, but I'm saying that I'm not afraid of it, because we do certain things in a certain way where we deliver quality products. So we are not afraid of any legal ramifications. But when some certain people who are unethical and they are not afraid of legal ramification because they don't live in the country, then you're really playing with fire at that point.
Yeah. That's it's great to have people here like you that are on the ground, that understand this stuff, and then you have your whole team that you work with.
Right?
That's the idea, is that you have AJ, someone that understands this niche, that can help figure out all of this and work with everybody elsewhere, whether it's domestic or international. AJ, I want to make sure everybody can reach out to AJ. You see on the bottom of the screen, that's how you can get in touch with AJ. He creates apps. He's the guy that helps a lot of the people in the industry create these apps and walk you through them, just like we talked about this whole show on ideas, a discovery, implementation, launching, all of it. So make sure you reach out to him. AJ, always so fun talking with you. And again, so glad we got to see each other the last day of family, and we're like, well, let's do this. We made some reels together too, which was a lot of fun. And it's always a lot of fun. And I'm sure we'll do some reels in September when family happens again. But AJ, while we wrap up the show, I always do a final words, final thoughts segment. That's anything that you're thinking about, whether it's market predictions, apps, where apps are headed, any last tips or tricks, anything at all that you can think of. I always do this segment. So final words, final thoughts, AJ Aluthwala.
Thank you, Al. Really appreciate you. My final word will be, don't sit at your desk, even if you're an app developer. Get out there, do more networking, more doors will open up for you.
Love it. Get up out of the desk, get out there, go outdoors, go network, build relationships. Boom, you have it. AJ, what a blast. It's been a lot of fun. We'll catch up soon, man. I'll see you at a conference or family or somewhere soon. I don't know where it'll be, but we'll see each other soon.
Sounds good, Dal. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Of course. Thank you. All right, everybody. If you missed any of the episode with AJ Aluthwala talking about app development, building an app for your business, whether it's real estate, whether it's another profession, whatever you're thinking of, apps could leverage your business. You can use this. You can help others when they're going through things. You don't know what that app idea is. Make sure you reach out to AJ if you have an app idea or you're even interested in getting into this app business. That's huge. And make sure you check out this whole episode on really the basics, the fundamentals of what is involved when getting into the app game. What do you have to do? The ideas, the discovery, the launching, the maintenance, all of this kind of stuff, and what to look for, and he will get into all of that, like time and budget. I mean, he'll talk to you about all this. What is it going to take? Because there's a whole process to it. So, I mean, I learned so much. I know we always do in the studio here. There's always so much to talk about. So if you miss any of that, check that out. And of course, everybody out there, we love when everybody's dropping questions, dropping comments, and everybody's engaging. So keep it coming. And of course, if you want more of this content, make sure you check out the Al Nicoletti YouTube channel, the Facebook page under Al Nicoletti, the Al Nicoletti Show on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. Here's what you do. Everybody that's watching right now, scan the QR code. What's great about the show is Mike puts up the QR code, and we want people to scan the QR code, because when you scan it, you get the link tree, and the link tree has everything you can find. You can find the YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Google Play, all of it. So always scan the QR code. It's amazing how what this technology does nowadays. It's great. So if you want more content, check it out. We will see you all next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, another night on the Al Nicoletti Show. The train keeps on rolling. I'll see you then. Have a great night. Take care, everybody.